Hi guys. About last week I did a video about video games having a connection to one another. Having inspiration. They were inspired by one another. Well, this time it's with movies. And the connection between these two movies is the concept. You have one story, you have our female leads. In one story, one female lead, well, actually both of them, both of these female leads believe that they are something otherworldly. You have one that believes that she is of a race of witches that have the power to change into cat people. And you have the other lead actress, our leading lady, who feels like she is of the sea, that she is a mermaid, a siren, and these two women truly, truly believe of who they are. In one movie, it turns out to be true. In another movie, it just turned out to be some really sick psychological manipulation from someone who wanted control over the leading lady, all for the sake of just trying to keep her. So these two movies are Cat People and Night Tide. Cat People was released in 1942, and Night Tide, around almost 20 years later, was released in 1961. Both of these movies are black and white movies, and they're really good. So in Cat People, we have our leading actress, Marina, I believe that, and she is a I think, either Siberian or Serbian woman. She meets a gentleman. The gentleman is infatuated with her, and like all men, they pursue the woman until they give in. Well, she gives in, all right, but she tells them the story of a knight or a saint, and this saint was said to be told to go after these witches that believe to have, sold their souls for power, and that is to shapeshift into cats, or big cats, I should say. And he goes to, exterminate them, and she believes she's the last of the kind. And if she shows any affection or intimacy, it will turn her into a cat person. The gentleman, laughs it off, goes, oh, that's a funny story, blah, 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 but she truly believes it. Seeing that she truly believes it, he goes, if you believe it, okay, fine. It doesn't matter. I still want to be with you, and we'll work through it. Things of that nature. So they get married, and things start to there's a lot of frustration in the marriage because there is little to no intimacy because she truly believes she is of the cat people. The husband, who acts like he didn't know about this when she told him, like, hey, I truly do believe this, delusional or not, I truly do believe this. He makes her go to a therapist who clearly doesn't have her best interests at heart. Not only that, the husband starts to have relations with this co-worker who turned out that she has had feelings for them for a while. The co-worker does. And Marina is not happy about it. She is like, no, that's my man, not my man. In the end, basically, I think the husband's name was Daniel. I believe his name was Daniel. I could be wrong. Decides that he doesn't want the marriage anymore. And tells the therapist, how do I get out of this marriage? And the therapist says, if I can prove she is mad, then you have the right to annul the marriage, and you two can get married. Clearly, the husband should have known. I mean, clearly the husband turns out to be a jerk and everything. Like, really? You're going to do that to your wife? Come on now. You act like you didn't know. Well, in the end, it turns out that her beliefs were in fact true. When the therapist, let's just say, makes a move on her, makes an advance, she retaliates and becomes a big cat, thus Xing out the therapist. Now she's wanted for homicide. And in the movie, it happened a few times where she'll always go to the zoo, and this custodian who always feeds this big cat, this panther, always forgets his key. Well, she goes back to the zoo, seeing that this is her only way out. She frees the big cat because the key is there, and ends up getting, ends up being mauled. And that is the end of the film, which it turns out she was right the whole time. Now, in Night Tide, it is about a man who is on leave, a sailor. And he's on leave, and he goes on to this sort of, like, kind of like a Coney Island, I guess you could say, or Santa Monica, the fair, that big Ferris wheel, things like that. Well, he ends up falling in love with this girl, I think Maria, I believe her name is. Or Maria. And he falls in love with her. She's a bit taken back. Sometimes he later finds out that she works at a sideshow as a mermaid. Well, after getting to know her, she does say that I am a mermaid. I'm waiting to be taken by my people. My people will come to me and take me to where I need to be. As the story continues, the guy who runs the sideshow tells him about Maria, excuse me, and the sirens and the mermaids. As the story continues, it turns out, no, she is a human girl who was exploited and manipulated psychologically to believe that she is a mermaid. And that this was the runner of the sideshow to make her believe that she is a mermaid. In the end, unfortunately, Maria meets an unfortunate end, a tragic end, because this gentleman feels like the sailor is his competition and is more of, if I can't have her, no one can. So she gets X'd out. In the end, it's kind of sad. I believe he gets arrested. The guy gets arrested, and the sailor has to go back to his mission. But as the story went on, he became friends with another girl who seems to have a crush on him. But he ends up, going back to sea to be deployed and things like that. Although these two movies are different, both of these women were steadfast to their guns, saying that they are this, they are that. Although one turned out to be completely untrue and turned out to be some forced illusion on one, the other one in Cat People, she knew what she was and it turned out to be true. With Cat People, it makes me wonder what would have been like if it was a male lead instead of a female. I'm pretty sure it would have been a different dynamic, which is probably why they went with the female lead, which, it's about a woman who believes she's a cat person and she turns out to be true. But, both of these movies, they have the connection of both of our leading ladies truly believe that they are otherworldly. One is of the sea, one is of, land. One believes that she's a mermaid, and one believes that she's a shape-shifting cat person. Both of these are good movies. Go ahead and check them out for yourself and see what I mean the connection-wise. I was literally watching Night Tide last week, and then Cat People came to mind, and I was just like, oh, wow. So, Cat People, watched the 1942 version, not the 1984 one. I watched that one, and I found that I liked the original better than the remake, because the remake really emphasized the intimacy, and it seemed that it took away from the story rather than, if she's intimate, she's going to turn. She doesn't want to turn. She's holding on for dear life not to hurt people, not to find out if it is true. Because she herself, she believes it's true, but there's that question of, is it true? Do I want to find out? Do I not want to find out? Damned if I do, damned if I don't. But these are really good movies. So go ahead and check them out. Like I said, Cat People 1942. There was a sequel, but it doesn't have anything to do with the first one. She does come back as a ghost, and Daniel and the coworker who are now married, they have a child, and the little girl is lonely and things like that. I think it's called Curse of the Cat People, and merely it has nothing to do with cat people. It's just the whole growing up, the whole coming of age, growing up, how childhood imagination should be cherished and not forced to grow up. it's a good movie. Go ahead and check it out. Yeah, so like I said, Cat People 1942 and Nighttime 1961. So go ahead and check them out while you're at it. So bye.